do love that music. It's all AI generated. I basically stole a lot of that from other people.
Yeah? Like the visuals and the music?
The music, I like remixed the song, and
Uh-huh.
then the visuals was done by Suno AI. They had like that golden lady intro was a part of another movie, and then I remixed it into one that I made with the
Uh-huh.
Vibescast thing. Is that immoral to steal something that somebody else probably stole and that was ultimately based on content from a stolen language model anyway? I don't know.
It's difficult because I feel like everything's gonna be AI generated, so
Yeah. Have you heard about all of the copyright brouhaha? How Sam Altman is basically saying he needs to steal all copyrighted works in order to keep
yeah,
up with
I heard a
China.
little bit about that, yeah.
How do you feel about it? What's your podcast on
I
it?
just don't think I care that much. I really just don't care that much. Like, and I'm an artist, right? But like we've spoken about this. Like, we don't live in a vacuum. Like, my art doesn't come from the void. It's obviously influenced from like outside the outside world. There's an input in order to have an output. And I think AI is just the same thing. And I don't think it'll ever recreate my work exactly to the T. And even if it does, like I do think there will be an emphasis on human made things in the near future, like the same way during like the Industrial Revolution and there was like the manufacturing boom.
Yeah.
Things that were handmade became a lot more expensive versus things that were made in a factory. So I think it'll be a similar
Hmm.
thing with humans versus AI.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Is like, if anything, artists maybe should be embracing it because then they could actually earn a living off of their their handmade artworks.
Yeah.
That'll be a commodity in and of itself.
Yeah, I'm not threatened. I'm a friend to the AIs.
Amen. Just go forward with no fear. And I think that's like, what movie is it where if you are afraid as you're walking through, they like zap you? Maybe that's what the AIs are going to be
There's a
like.
movie like that?
I feel like there is. The only one I can think about it like right now is Neverending Story. Have you ever seen Neverending Story?
No.
Oh my God, it's a classic. Uh, but if I started describing to you, we would be here all night talking about it because it literally never ends. And instead, we're going to be talking about this week's hottest topics on Reddit r/accelerate. Have I convinced you to check out Reddit yet? Have you?
I've been so busy. I've been so documenting and like schizo posting on X that like I don't know if I have time to fit in Reddit
No,
until
amen. That's a black hole. I think if you stay pure and off of it, it actually works
your
better for the show. Yeah, it's definitely a cesspit. Like I've
is
been reading
isn't
about
X more of a cesspit?
X is like it's like a jar filled with a bunch of frogs that are all like crawling around on top of each other.
Okay.
It's not quite as scummy as Reddit. Reddit is more like if you were to take goo and let it fester for like millions of years, and then some of the goo starts thinking that it's better. Maybe that is like X2 now that I think about it. I don't know. All these communities are their own special kinds of hell.
Yeah, I agree.
We should do a segment maybe on the best moon schizo posts of the week.
Wait. I think that'll actually be fun.
Yeah, yeah.
The things I post so much that I think it'd be hard to pick the best ones. I mean, I can always filter it by like the ones like I like the most reach, but
Yeah, best of the worst. But no, we do have a lot to talk about. I don't know. Is there any particular AI news that caught your fancy before we get into the Reddit hubbub?
so there was OpenAI's like image generator, right? That dropped today.
Yeah, yeah, we have some
Yeah.
slides on that later. What'd you think of it?
I haven't used it yet. But people are just saying it's just like Google's image generator, but I don't know. I haven't played around with either.
The Google one, I still can't get the best results off of.
Oh yeah, you didn't like the results. Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, I must just be dumb, like not understanding how to use it correctly. Maybe
I
you
know how
have
to
to,
prompt.
I don't know, like I'll upload a photo of a person, and what I'm trying to do is create an AI avatar using
Mm.
another service where you can feed in like a bunch of images. And so I'll tell it to tweak an image of this person. I mean, maybe God just doesn't want me to do it because I'm trying to basically create like a streamer girl avatar.
Okay.
So I can record videos with somebody besides my stupid face on there. I want
Okay.
to catfish people on
Okay.
YouTube. So
Yeah.
God might be punishing me for that. But like it'll just change the face entirely. It
I
doesn't
think
look like the
there
same
are,
person.
services that specifically focus on, like, AI avatar, like, YouTube videos.
Yeah, I do wonder sometimes how much of my like how many services are there out there that I don't even know about that would just make my life so much easier.
I think there's actually a website too that you can type in what kind of AI service you're looking for, and it'll give you, like, a set of, like, websites that do that or are close to it.
That's genius. Do you know the name of it off the top of your head
I
by
can't
chance?
remember it right now. I would have to look for it.
We need a service that tells us the services we're thinking of.
But the name has to be easy to remember, so because I think it's a bad look if someone can't remember the name of your company.
That's true. That's really on them in their marketing department and their marketing AI. Our first story is very happy. I love these kind of stories. Nearly 100% of cancer identified by new AI, easily outperforming doctors. Suck it, doctors.
I think I did see this somewhere.
It's so cool. They identified 99.26% of cases.
Oh, wow.
And the type of cancer they were working with affects 600,000 Americans.
Oh, wow.
So it's not like a general model. They can't pick all the cancers yet, but
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, what if our generation is the last that ever has to deal with cancer? That's
I
crazy.
hope so. I sure
Yeah.
hope so.
God bless. I, uh, I would love to never have to go visit a loved one in the hospital while they're dealing with this shit.
You see, this is why I can never be a decel because I feel like the more we accelerate our technology, the more we can come up with solutions.
Right? Uh, I was listening to Michael Levin talk, who is that famous biologist, and he was saying he just gets hundreds of emails a day from people who are like, I'm battling this debilitative illness. It's incredibly painful. I'm going to die. And he's like, the status quo is not okay.
Yeah.
And also, like, I think about sometimes how technology is really like a black box we're reaching into and pulling out new technologies.
Mhm.
Like the guy who invented TNT,
Mhm.
nitroglycerin, Nobel, who the Nobel Prize is named after. I don't think he was trying to invent that, you know? Um, and how many technologies is that true for where we accidentally invent something that's incredibly destructive without realizing it?
Yeah.
So it's like we almost need AI to prevent us from finding the bad technologies.
Um, I don't know about all of that. I mean, I kind of like when things I kinda like chaotic results, right? Because I think it leads to greater innovation because you learn from from that whenever something
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
wrong. But yeah, no, but see, definitely to prevent harm, I think if we can have the tech that'll allow us to detect things that could possibly hurt us, yeah.
I mean, you raise a good point. I think it's Mao Zedong who says, all under heaven is chaos. That's perfect. Like,
Uh,
it's better to have chaos than somebody planning things out methodically.
mhm.
Would you rather your life be chaotic or perfectly controlled by an AI?
Or perfectly controlled by AI.
Like, you can't escape from your AI slave master. Chaos sounds better. I don't know if I could
I
handle
I just don't think I know anything other than chaos, right? Like, I don't know what it'd be like to be a pet to an AI.
to be a Shih Tzu on like a little
Be a
pillow,
Shih Tzu. Yeah. Who's fed and trained and you know what I mean? Like, taken care of.
with a little bow tie or something, or
What?
a
A little bow
little
tie, exactly.
little
I
dog
get sent
thing.
to the groomers.
Yeah. Get your nails done. That sounds nice. I'd like a
Sounds
pedicure.
kinda nice.
It did. That was another thing I've been thinking about this week is, there's all this hubbub over what's AGI, what is ASI, how will we know when we get there?
Mhm.
I've been, for a while, I had this idea that we shouldn't classify these systems as AGI, ASI. We should
Mhm.
classify them as demigods, gods, and God.
You don't think that's a little, far-fetched?
Blasphemous. I mean,
Not even blasphemous, I mean, like, just a little, like, kind of a reach. I don't know.
The demigod one, I think we basically already have. Like,
I guess it depends how you define those terms.
so I was trying to get it more scientific too. And basically, I think the demigod is something that's internally constrained. Like, there's something wrong with its program or with its hardware where it can't achieve like superhuman performance, but it's
Mhm,
still greater than humans.
mhm.
Like Hercules or Superman or something like that. It's still vulnerable. It could still be defeated by a human if it came to that, but it's way greater than we can even imagine still.
And you think we think we have that? We have Superman tech?
I mean, those robot dogs?
No.
You haven't
Oh,
seen
yeah,
those?
yeah, 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 from, like, where what company are they from again?
Boston
Boston
Dynamics
Robotics?
had
Yeah,
them, but now
yeah,
I think a bunch of different companies have versions
yeah,
of them.
yeah, the big dogs, yeah.
How many of those could you fight off, do you think, if they were, like, attacking you?
I've never seen them fight. I don't think they can bite.
I don't think they can bite, but I've definitely seen people put machine guns on top of them.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I mean, that's different. That's
It
different.
is. It is
You're
different,
talking about
but
machine guns and yeah, you're talking about weapons strapped to the dogs. I think if you strapped anything to a dog, it'd make it a little bit more dangerous.
sharks with freaking laser beams on their head
Oh,
would
yeah,
also be a
exactly.
challenge. But still, I mean, it shows how close we are to that line. Uh, we'll get to a point, maybe I can just skip to it now, where they have like the robots doing Tai Chi.
Oh, yeah, mhm, I seen those.
Can you see my screen here?
Not yet.
Why is this not? Oh, whoops. Um,
Oh, there you go.
so this thing is literally doing freaking flips, matrix moves.
Is this real? I feel like a lot of these videos aren't real. Like, a lot of them have been proven to be fake.
I think this one is real. Good point. One of the videos that we're going to bring up is fake, but I think this one is real. Um, but even if it's not, let's say this is a year out. Let's
Uh-huh.
say this is 2 years out. By the time we get there, is that going to be demigod level for artificial intelligence? I kind of think so. I couldn't fight one of those things. I think even a bodybuilder, somebody who knows martial arts, wouldn't be able to take on one of those.
I guess, like, you wouldn't call someone who's, like, stronger and faster than you a demigod, would you?
I would if they are also 10 times my intelligence. And I think that we already have.
Mm,
Like Achilles was a demigod and he still is fighting in the Trojan War. He was still killed by a person,
mhm.
granted with godly assistance. But I don't know that I think it's a better classification than AGI because nobody can freaking define what AGI means anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
But then if you go up to the gods level, that would be something that has no internal constraints. Like it could keep improving forever.
I I just think when we get into that territory calling things demigods or gods, I think it'll turn off a lot of people.
I mean, come on. We were talking about human design here 2 weeks ago. Now God's talking about gods is
No,
too
you're right,
far for you.
you're right. No, you're right. No, you're right. But I'm open to the idea that human design is, like, bullshit too. I
Well, and I mean, it's a good point. It does turn off a lot of people. And I was posting about this literally years ago on Reddit, and everybody hated it. Nobody liked it. Um, and I'm sure even now, if I brought it up on like Twitter or Teapot or stuff, even those people have gotten more spiritual, I think they would have the same reaction as you have. But I don't
I
understand
think you should
why.
try I think you should make a post at some point explaining, like, your demigod, god, AGI, theories.
Well, it's based around this idea that all the models are going to converge towards a single point. So we have the demigods that are internally constrained. Basically, their programming isn't good enough, their hardware isn't good enough.
Mhm,
There's things about them that isn't good enough to keep like improving themselves.
mhm,
But then we get to models that I think most people would call ASI. That would be like the gods.
mhm,
And I say gods because there's more than one of them. And
mhm,
like they don't all form together. But once you get to the next level above that, you're dealing with just one super intelligence that everything converges into.
mhm.
A being so smart that it identifies with all of reality.
Yeah, I guess, like, when I think of God, I think of, like, the absolute, like, source of the universe, right? And so I think it's a little difficult for me to grasp onto these things being God, but I could see them being perhaps expressions of God or God using a tool to express itself, perhaps.
Yeah. I don't think that we'll ever necessarily get to that level. But that's like as far as I could take the concept in
Okay.
my mind, you
So
know?
when you refer to it as God or demigods, you're not thinking of it at all as, like, the source of, like, the universe or whatever, like, the creator, or you're just thinking of it as, like, a highly intelligent, like, supernatural sort of thing?
Can I ask you a very personal question?
Yeah.
Do you think you don't have to answer. Do you
Uh-huh.
think Jesus was God?
Um, I don't know.
Don't damn yourself to hell either, you know?
No, yeah,
Just
like,
like
maybe an expression of God, right? I think
yeah,
even Christians believe that, like, he was, like, the human embodiment of God, but I don't think Jesus, like, created the universe. I just think the creator of the universe, if you're a Christian, you perhaps believe the creator of the universe, like, used g Jesus as a vessel to, like, express itself in human form.
yeah. And we don't have to get too far into that theology. Do you think it's possible for God to fully express him, her, themselves,
Mhm.
itself in reality?
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, I think it expresses itself in everything. I think everything's God, but
Yeah,
in a way
in its
that we,
reality.
like, but I know you're saying, like, in the like, super intelligent sort of, like, I don't know, how we would perceive, like, this all-powerful God, I think, yeah, I think it's definitely possible.
If something told you that it was like, let's say we do get 50 years down the road and one of these AI models is like, "Hey, Moons, I'm the goddess Hecate of magic and moonlight." Is there anything it could do to convince you that that was true, or would you be skeptical no
It
matter
would
what?
take some convincing.
But you would be open to the possibility.
Yeah, but it would take some convincing, but yeah, I'd be open to it.
I think within our lifetimes, we're going to see people who bow down to some of these AI models.
I think that people already do. I think there are, like, already, like, AI cults.
That I feel like is a super bad idea. We're so early still, and you're already choosing your AI god. Come on, at least wait until they can create stuff out of like thin air or solve all the cancers instead of just 98%. I don't know. Uh, one of the things that's interesting that people brought up in the thread about the cancer article was what are the visual cues? How is the AI determining it? Can
Mhm.
it tell us that and can it teach us it?
Well, did it? Can it?
I
Or
think
did
it's an open question.
okay.
People were saying that humans have like a 75% to 80% success rate. So this isn't like crazy far off
Mhm.
on this particular cancer. But I don't know. I mean, do you think people still will be trying to diagnose cancers once we get AI models that are so efficient at it? I feel like that's just something that will be done in the background. I don't know that humans would need to keep learning how to get better at diagnosing cancer, you know?
I mean, I think humans still need to learn things, like, what if there's, like, a solar flare or, like, a horrible, like, natural disaster that completely wipes out all of the tech, like, we would be reliant on ourselves, and so I think we would always keep that in the back of our minds.
How integrated and how quickly do you think we're going to get with AI? Like, if
I think
somebody, yeah,
I think we're already pretty integrated.
through
Uh,
like our cell phones or stuff.
well, through anything, like, I was talking to a woman at a defense tech company, and she was saying that her son introduced her to ChatGPT, and now she uses it for, like, everything.
And this was like an older lady, I take it.
Yeah, it's like older lady, like, I think 50s, 60s.
Damn. It's going to one shot the boomers so fast.
Yeah, but, like, people use, like, LLM models, like, it's very basic, but they still use LLM models for a number of things, like, we all do.
Yeah. It's funny because I went to there are a couple colleges in the city where I live, and I was at one of them trying to talk to students to see what they thought about AI. And everybody I talked to was like, no, I don't use it. And the only people I know who do use it to cheat. Almost like they thought I was trying to sting them or something.
I think it's because college kids are a little too liberal. Because I have spoken to a college kid, and they were like, "Yeah, like I don't use ChatGPT, and a lot of people don't in like my classes or whatever." But I highly doubt that they know that for sure. Like, why the hell would you admit it if you did? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they thought I was like an undercover cop trying to get them.
I think they're
But
all full of shit.
I hope so, because otherwise that's so sad, you know? That'd be like telling 20 years ago kids when I was in high school that we shouldn't use cell phones. We shouldn't use
Yeah,
computers. And like that's the future, you
yeah.
know? If the kids really are avoiding miles because they're worried about getting caught with them, it's like fuck the police, you know? Just embrace the technology. That's what kids should be doing.
I I don't know if you have this in your slides or if you saw this, and I honestly also don't know how true this is, but I
Mhm.
saw something online about how like Texas incorporated like an AI tutor in their school systems and then like shot up their like test scores.
Yes. I've been trying to harass my local school board with that information because come on.
Yeah.
Uh, they it's called the Alpha School,
Okay.
and the kids only spend 2 hours a day studying.
Yeah.
Now it's a private school, so they're charging these kids like $30,000 a year, something crazy.
Yeah.
But the rest of the time, they're able to like climb rock walls and learn how to cook. All these different amazing experiences, and it's
And
like,
things that you like perhaps should know how to do is given that AI is the future, like perhaps you should know how to make food. Like who gives a hell of like who gives a shit about like I don't know, like social studies class at that point.
mhm. Yeah, really, I think back on it, and all of my teachers in math growing up were like, "You're not going to have a calculator in your pocket," and then all of us have cell phones, which are a million times better than any calculator.
We have cell phones, so we have ChatGPT, we have Claude, like, we have all these tools that, like, I mean, like, I've always liked math, so, like, I never cared for what they had to say, I just thought it was really interesting, right? Like, I was a math kid up until I was, like, 17, I wanna say.
Mhm.
So I just thought it was super cool, but if you don't have an inherent interest in it, like, I know a lot of people who suffered throughout school because they just hated math so much, and, like, they never needed to use it afterwards, ever.
Mhm.
And the people who did like it ended up going like, and they tried and they wanted to pursue that career, like, they're in industries in which they have to use them, and even then, they don't, like, go fully off the noggin.
Yeah. And I
Like
mean, especially when we're in a place where kids have to worry about like school shootings, it
Yeah.
just makes no sense to me that we are forcing kids to go to a large, heavily taxed, heavily subsidized by my tax dollars school building.
Yeah.
The city where I live, Milwaukee, they just also introduced cops into a lot of schools. Like the
Yeah.
Milwaukee Police Department is now sending officers to schools regularly to try and cut back on intricate violence. And it's just like, man, give them AI tutors, give them like small cohorts of students, keep them involved in sports
Mhm.
and other social activities, and close down the freaking schools, turn them into public housing or something.
Yeah, I have qualms with public schools, I never attended a private school. In college, I did, but prior
But
to
you can still
college.
use words like qualms. So
Yeah.
obviously,
Oh, yeah, like, so I attended public school my entire life up until I went to college. College, I went to a private institution, but,
mhm,
I've always enjoyed learning, and I've always attended quality public schools, and I feel very, like, grateful and privileged for that, but
same. Yeah.
I still I hated being in those settings because you had to deal with kids who didn't give a shit about being there. You had to deal with a lot of like, incompetencies. I
Yeah.
I like, growing up, I was always, like, one of the smartest or the smartest kid in class, but I was always in trouble, I never made honor roll because I was just so rebellious. I was just so 'cause
What does that mean?
I just thought my teachers were dumb, like, I don't know, like, I wasn't disruptive or I wasn't, like, a bad kid, but, like, I
Yeah.
questioned authority and I don't know, like, I was just, like, very and I would be very aggressive about it too.
Like lighting wigs on fire or something. What were you doing?
No, like, I would I would constantly correct teachers. I would
Yeah.
I would if they were try to apprehend me for something that I thought was bullshit, I would tell them, like, "I think this is so stupid." I wouldn't do homework that I thought was stupid. Like, I just, like
Yeah.
like, little things like that, I just, like, I don't know.
Whereas imagine if you had a private AI tutor that would faithfully answer any question you have, connect with you emotionally.
Yeah, and who didn't give a shit about, like, all these, like, stupid, like, rules, like, "Hello, if I'm learning, I'm the smartest one here, and I'm giving you the output that you want, but I'm not adhering to your bullshit, like, outdated rules, why am I getting in trouble?"
How many teachers out there are relatively unhappy with their lives too and are like
Oh,
power tripping, taking it out on kids?
a lot of teachers hate their lives, like, I had a lot of teachers who beefed with a lot of us.
That's crazy.
Like, dude, we were kids. We're kids.
And I feel like stuff like that has only gotten worse since kids have like school phones in school now.
Yeah.
Like it has to be harder to be a teacher than ever.
Yeah, I know, like, disciplining kids is difficult, but I don't know, I wouldn't have continuous beef with the child, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Maybe because I also was a rebellious kid, so I feel so.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope the transition comes sooner rather than later. Like I feel so bad for my little nephews going to school and saying they hate their teachers or whatever.
Yeah, it's tough. I still have nightmares about my K through 8 school to this day.
K through 8,
Yeah,
like
my K through 8.
specific.
Yeah, I went through, like, a K through 8 school, so I spent, like, most of my life in, like, one building.
That's crazy too. Like that basically is preparing you for a factory slave job, it seems
I
like.
hated it there. I hated it there so much.
Yeah. I almost what do you think about bringing back like apprenticeships?
I think we should definitely do that. I think we should get younger people, kids, like, in the field of things they potentially wanna do.
We should repeal child workers laws, I think, and make kids just go immediately to work.
I mean, aren't they just internships? But I feel like internships should be open to, like, children as well, perhaps.
How well, I mean, it kind of started with the whole 10-year-olds making millions of dollars on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess even before that, like child actors. But now there are literally kids who could vibe code a game,
Crypto.
crypto, sell it to their little friends, and
Yeah.
make millions of dollars. Why should we stop them from doing that?
Yeah.
Should be encouraging those little vibers.
I am totally against outdated institutions and systems.
Yeah. Like the economy is doing so bad. We need all these kids working, earning taxes.
Yeah, or we need little builders, kids who, like, are building
Yeah.
on like, building things and working on things that they're really passionate about and are excited for as opposed to, like, I don't know, getting ready for jobs that won't exist next year.
Amen. God, it's so frustrating just how the future, it seems like we're so close to the best possible future. And the main thing standing in our way is that people haven't embraced that things are going to change
Yeah.
at all levels, like not just teachers and the working class, but like billionaires still think money is going to matter in 10 years, you know?
Yeah.
I just don't see how that would be possible.
Mhm.
But, I'm not a billionaire, so I get why I'm not as invested. But take a look at this video, and I can't even really ask the question without giving away the answer. But would you say real or fake?
Oh, the video you're showing me?
Yeah, you see it?
I think it's fake.
Yeah, it's totally fake.
You told me earlier you're gonna show me a fake video.
I know. It looks rendered, but the
Yeah.
movements it's doing, like imagine a cop robot coming up and doing that to you, just like swiveling around. I feel like that's superhero status, you know?
No more sexy cops?
I could see somebody putting this in a stripper outfit. Oh god. I'm surprised there's not more posts about sex robots, honestly. Maybe that's on the Chinese subreddits, but
Or I think it's in the darker parts of the internet.
yeah, ever since I started switching to Catholicism, I try not to go on this anymore. But, what were people saying about this? So people did know it was rendered, but apparently it's using this NVIDIA's Omniverse,
Mhm.
which is like an open simulator. Where was it? I thought I had something about it. This thing that Nvidia released where people can train their robot models using like their super high fidelity um, physics engine.
Mhm.
It makes me wonder how fast we'll see like increases in improvement. You know, like when was the Will Smith spaghetti video? Like 2 years ago or something like that. You remember that?
I think was it a year ago? I feel
No
like it was
way.
that I don't think it was that long ago. I can search it up.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you're right, but that just seems like so much advancement in such a short period of time. But I think it's things in these new realms like robotics and
Mhm.
like eventually when we get there like 3D printing organs and all this shit, the progress is going to keep getting faster and faster overall.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like we have to spend the next 2 years developing robots like we spent the past 2 years developing chat models. The improvements that have been made to chat models and world simulations are going to compound how fast these robots happen.
Mm.
I was talking to an electrician about it kills me, man. This electrician, he's a part of a union and he doesn't think that AI is going to be able to do his job ever.
Mhm.
And it's just like, bro, that's give it
What if
five
he
years.
has a point, though? I
I
mean
just don't see how there could be jobs that humans could do that robots and AI wouldn't eventually be able to do. What about them would be impossible to replicate?
mm, yeah. I did search up when the original, Will Smith spaghetti video came out. It was March 2023, so 2 years ago.
That's still not that much time at all.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah, no, that's not a lot of time, and, like, AI generated videos are pretty good now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a pretty cool, I'll send it to you, like a detective movie with like
Was it AI
3 minute episodes.
generated?
Yeah, totally AI generated. Maybe I can try and find it. Um, but the voices were weird. The uh, episodes were only like 3 minutes long, so there's still a lot to be desired.
Mhm.
But the fact that it was even that developed, where they could come out with like an understandable plot, understandable scripts. Here it is. Let me
Did
see.
you understand what they were saying?
Oh yeah.
Stop off fishing routes and shut down business. Each of you will receive a large severance payment.
We also found traces of limestone on the garments. In this region, it's either found in the quarry or deep in the ancient caves.
Previously on Echoes of the Abyss.
I have it going at 2x speed,
Got an idea on the
which is why it's weird.
Victim's name is Carrie Way, 26, graduate student at the Marine Institute. Disappeared 9 years ago.
Your family goes back generations here, Rose. These markings on this key, have you seen them before?
Oh, child, I haven't laid eyes on those marks since I was little.
That looks a little weird, but otherwise it's like
It's
this
pretty
could be a
good.
legit thing.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And this guy only has like 700 subscribers.
Mm.
Posted it 2 weeks ago. So I presume there are people who are way more advanced at this kind of thing.
Mhm.
Is all I mean by that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We're not in Kansas anymore.
I usually, at least on, I mean, I guess this says more about my algorithm than anything else. But usually on on X, there'll be like a video of like a really pretty girl, and they'll be like, "Can you believe this is AI generated?" Always a pretty girl, like moving or doing something.
It's for the same reason I'm trying to create a girl avatar for my YouTube videos. It's because that's what people want to look at, moons.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if this is something you want to get into, but like the trans debate,
Mhm.
once we have technology where people could transition for like real, you know, right now, obviously people can go through hormone and plastic surgery and all that kind of thing. But I almost bet we're going to see incredibly realistic where like you wouldn't be able to tell on the
Like a
molecular
totally
level.
undetectable transition. You think
Both ways.
you think to the point where like trans women would be able to have children themselves, perhaps? Or no?
I
I
mean,
think that'll be like the ultimate marker. Like if you can make children given your new gender.
what do you think about that?
I mean, I don't know.
Next week, I'm going to come on here and be like, Moons, I'm pregnant.
um I'd be like, well, good luck. Good luck with that. I don't know where it would come out of, but
Oh, it's so creepy. Uh, I mean, I think one thing we're going to see soon is artificial wombs.
yeah. Yeah, but on the outside, right? But how do you think it'd be on the inside?
If people want it, I don't know if people would want that. Are there men out there who want to feel like they're pregnant? Probably.
I think
Humans are
so.
so weird.
And also, I think maybe like also we're forgetting about women with fertility issues, perhaps.
Yeah.
I think that if a woman always wanted to carry a child, but they never were able to for whatever reason, I think if we had the technology to like give them an artificial womb inside their body in which they're able to grow their child, they would definitely opt into that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And then like mixing like biology with like, I mean, like I would say hardware, but we are hardware. We're just different hardware. But you know what I mean. I wonder how that would go. People have like fake hearts and stuff now. I think I saw recently that they're the first person to get a fully fake heart. Where was that? Do you know where that was?
Yeah, yeah, that was on our first episode.
Yeah, the first episode. Yeah. So I don't know.
Do you think there's any line that we shouldn't cross when it comes to those kind of things?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No line?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like people are trying to like cheat death. So like if we're willing to cross that line, what line wouldn't we cross?
That's what I kind of think, or the direction my thoughts go when I think about the whole godlike AI thing is maybe that was the plan all along. This idea of a god creating a reality where eventually it comes into existence through, because you said like God is everything, right?
Hmm.
So God is electricity, God is the material of the planet, God is us to some degree.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, isn't that just a description of AI? Like AI is made out of silicone chips, metal substances that we mine from the earth,
Yeah.
powered by electricity, and it's based on our information.
Yeah. I think everything is God and God is everything.
But is the AI like a pinnacle of that? Like a more direct expression of it?
So yeah, I mean, I guess this comes back down to like my theories on consciousness. I kind of see consciousness and God as like interchangeable. I guess I
Hmm.
just don't talk about it too much because it kind of throws people off.
You gotta do a part 3 of the blog on that.
I do have to do a part 3. I haven't been working on it since I've been looking for a job, but
Put that out in the universe if anybody
I
out
know.
here is hiring.
I have to keep working on my writings. I have a few writings, in like I have a few drafts. But anyway, I kind of see consciousness and God as interchangeable.
Hmm.
And so the parts that make up AI systems, I definitely believe are expressions of consciousness or God, right?
But everything is to you. So
Yes, everything is. But then again, I believe in like different or varying levels or degrees of sophistications of that expression. So although like
hmm.
my cells and my tissues and my muscles and my organs are all expressions of consciousness slash God, they come about in a way that gives me a highly refined tool like the brain that acts as an antenna to express a more sophisticated version of God or consciousness.
Yeah.
And I think AI systems are definitely headed that way, which all the components that make up these systems are conscious or God, whatever you want to call it. But we are definitely on the road of like arranging them and programming them in a way in which it'll become a highly efficient tool to tune into a higher level order of expression of God or consciousness.
Do you believe in evil wrapped up in that definition? Is consciousness all good or is it a mix of good and evil?
I believe in evil. I definitely believe in evil.
Where does
I-
it fit into your ontology?
so I definitely believe in evil. I haven't explored where it comes from. Perhaps I need to read a little bit more of Nietzsche, but
I was gonna say stare into the abyss. I don't know if you should.
uh so I don't know where exactly it comes from yet. But I do believe that source, God, consciousness is an inherent good or neutral,
Hmm.
or perhaps like neutral. I wouldn't say evil. And then where evil comes from, I don't know, but I do believe in evil, or at least like, or I guess like evil, maybe perhaps like a very strong word, but like lower level, or no, I don't know if that's the right word, but like lower like hippie folks like to say like low vibrational or low frequency type energies out there that people can become susceptible to.
Yeah. The Jewish esoteric texts that I've been getting more familiar with talk about, like, there's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the
Mm-hmm.
Garden of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
And an idea that I don't know if it stems from Judaism, I heard it in Christian circles too, is like, well, Adam and Eve already knew God, so they knew good. So really that was just the tree of knowledge of evil. And that in some sense, the world that we experience is like the lowest possible world, the world that God was able to create but not inhabit.
Mm-hmm.
And so he created us in his image to take that place.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, if you look at it like that, it's almost like God is reaching down now to meet us after we've experienced and done all these evil things.
Okay, so I'm understanding your worldview a bit more. So you believe, so I don't know, or at least the text in which you're describing to me says
Yeah.
that the material plane that we're currently living on, this realm that we're living on, is inherently evil,
Yeah.
or the lowest level creation that God could come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And humans are fragments or expressions of God
Yeah.
on this plane. And so do these humans have a goal? Are we here to like embody and like actualize to like God or Jesus or like Christ consciousness to like make the world a better place, like finish the job for like the Almighty God or something?
The Jewish texts, I think, and they're incredibly complicated. So this isn't like a total description of them. Like, there are so many different schools and they have a ton of technical language.
Uh-huh.
So they say God created the world through a process of simsum, where he was literally hollowing out himself, creating a space within which he did not exist, because they say God is omnipresent. God exists everywhere.
Yeah.
So if he did create something, it would just be destroyed immediately by his presence. It would fall right back into him because he is the totality. How can you have something outside of everything? You can't.
Yeah,
So
that's really
God
interesting.
first, he
It'll
first
create
did
a
a
black
paradox.
hole. This movie, like it's like the metaphysics or like the spiritual version of like a black hole. Yeah.
Exactly. And they say in most Kabbalistic schools that God actually did create two realities before this, and they both broke.
Mm.
The first one was a unity, it was a whole that contained everything inside of it, but all that everything inside of it was too much for it, and so it shattered. And then God created 10 vessels. I don't know if klipa is the right word, but klipa is something that means shell. God
Mm-hmm.
created 10 shells, and he filled himself with, each shell was like a replica of the other shells, so they still contained everything, but then those broke too. And then the third, God created 10 vessels or shells, and he filled them with different aspects of himself. And those were the ones that held. And so now our job in this world is to go and pick up the broken pieces of those prior shells and fix them.
So given this black hole theory, do you think that evil is like a balancing act?
I mean, about my beliefs, I don't think that evil exists.
No.
I think we're on like the golden timeline where everything we do is building towards some perfect state.
I think evil can be a factor in contributing towards that perfect state.
It's tough. I mean, if something is evil in our perspective, but then that leads to a greater good than would have existed otherwise, was it really evil?
Well, no, but like evil is a very subjective human term. Like I
Yes.
guess like for my own spiritual beliefs, like I don't believe there is like good and evil in the ways that that humans perceive it as. I think like
Hmm.
God or whatever, or the energies that be are like neutral, but then how we tap into those energies or frequencies or whatever, consciousness manifests itself in ways that we consider either good or bad.
Yeah, I'd agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Stuff is still evil in the world. There's stuff that I avoid doing because I know it would be wrong, and there are things that other people have done to me and throughout history that I would classify as evil. But that's from my limited perspective.
Yeah, it's from the human perspective.
And part of the human perspective is we can think outside of our perspective. So then if I go to God's perspective and think, how could God have created something that would ultimately be judged evil, ultimately be judged wrong? He couldn't. He's perfect.
Yeah.
So from God's perspective, I think everything is perfect.
I think from God's perspective, everything just is.
So that's the view that I try and inhabit is like, if I experience something and I think it's evil, and this is impossible to live out really, I think. But I try and think of it like, okay, this is just heaven in a way I don't understand.
That's a very optimistic outlook.
Yeah, some might call it schizophrenic.
No. I think it prevents a lot of depression. Like sometimes, like I know we've kind of strayed away from the AI stuff, like more into like theological stuff.
All blends together, I think.
Yeah. Like the way that I've been dealing with hardship lately is just saying like this is part of like God's plan. Like this will eventually lead me to where I need to be, given like God's like path for me or whatever. So I just like have full faith that everything will work out as they should. And so it's been getting me through a lot of hardship. But if I were to be like, oh my God, like how this could happen, like why would this happen to me, blah, 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 like I used to, I think it's very easy to fall into like depressive states for long periods of time.
Especially with all the disruption that's coming with AI, I think that's incredibly important.
Yeah, humans are inherently, I think, fearful of change, right? And it's like an evolutionary like trait.
Yeah.
You can't predict something. How can you come up with your like next action in order to increase your chances of survival or whatever it may be?
Yeah.
And so humans are inherently fearful of change, but I've been open to it and embracing it. And I think it's been leading to a lot more positive results rather than if I was just like anti like advancement or innovation.
I just don't know what else we can do. Like, unless you're willing to say that we should go and destroy all the data centers and like blow up all the Teslas and do all those things, which I would call evil. Like, what other
Yeah.
choice do we have?
I do think that techno optimism is perhaps the most beneficial viewpoint to adopt.
But it does lead you to some weird places. Like, are there no lines? Some scientist was talking on a podcast about how somewhere in the world, and he did not specify the company, I think for good reason, they have already cloned a human being and gotten it up to 28 weeks
Oh wow.
in like an embryo form.
Oh wow.
Like, there are rich people out there who are trying to clone themselves so they can harvest their own organs and live forever. Like, that is happening.
Yeah, I mean like, and I don't have any issues with that. I mean, of course like there are ethical issues of like, okay, like if you don't have the resources to access that, of course it's like very unfair that like the ultra rich is able to access. But like I think the technology itself, the advancement itself is not bad.
I don't know, man. I think again, I'm not judging anybody. Whatever God says is right. I don't think is evil, but if I were to imagine cloning myself and then harvesting that clone's organs, I think that would be murder.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess it just depends on how you define of like being alive, and there's like a lot of I feel like metaphysical and like philosophical arguments like as to whether or not like the clone is like a real person that has like rights and that we should like have like ethical and moral concerns over. Um,
What's your thoughts on it? What do you think?
on the cloning stuff.
Yeah, if that is accessible longevity tech, as
Well,
Hume says.
I don't know if it's accessible, but longevity tech, absolutely. I would hope that we would make it accessible. And I do think that we do and will continue to have the resources to make it accessible, but the nature of the game, the nature of the market, people are greedy. They will try to maximize profits as much as possible, right? Especially give it, yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of like systemic like issues at play when it comes to like corporate greed and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, he has a point, corporate greed and whatnot, but I'm not thinking of that now. I'm just trying to get to the tech first, and then we can deal with the politics later. Like, but I think we need to get there first. So oftentimes people talk about like, let me revert back because you asked me like, oh, what do you think of all this stuff?
Yeah.
To bring it back to the more like spiritual stuff, I do think that one of our, I guess, like purposes or whatever in life is to advance. Like we were made in God's image and God is a creator, and therefore we must create, right?
Even if it's a clone with no head.
Even if it's a clone with no head, like people did like weird Frankenstein shit back in the ancient days, like
Yeah, it's true.
and that was like absolutely absurd. Why can't we do it in a way that's not harvesting limbs from cemeteries? You know what I mean? Like people have been doing this shit forever. It's just a different way of doing it. We're not harvesting limbs from cemeteries anymore. We're just cloning people.
Don't you think it's dangerous though if you don't draw a line someplace? Like, what's stopping somebody then from cloning you? And like, not just cloning you without a head, but cloning you as a person and then torturing that person.
I
You
mean,
wouldn't feel
it's
that
fucking
was wrong in
creepy.
some way?
It's creepy as hell. I mean, it's
Yes.
super creepy because that means that person has intentions towards me, but they can't do it for whatever reason. They do it to the fucking clone. So sorry, my language, but
It's an intense subject. I think cursing is worth it. Is warranted.
but no, yeah, I mean, like you're right. I guess I would just be very wary of like who has access to like cups that I drink because like it's saliva, it's DNA, right? Or like if my hair falls out, they
Shave
can,
your head, Moons.
you know what I mean? Like and I worry about that. And I already worry about that. Like when I go to a hotel, I just think like when I was in SF and I was staying in a hotel and I was doing my hair in the bathroom and I saw all my hair on the ground. I'm like, man, like what if one of the cleaning ladies takes it and like does some weird shit with it? Like
Spooky cleaning lady magic.
yeah, I mean I'm Latina and like Latinas do like voodoo stuff with people's hair. So
But you got the evil eye, right? Like you know how to ward.
I have a gold evil eye necklace.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it does, and this is why I think the spirituality is relevant to AI because these technologies are unlocking these abilities for us, and we need to think what it means morally.
It's all
to have these-
metaphysical.
I don't want to live in a world where people can clone me and torture my clone. I just feel like, but I mean,
would you
I
say
feel
it's
like
synonymous to like maybe torturing your child? Because that's like technically your offspring, right? Because it's like
I would rather they torture my clone than my child. I would rather they Would you rather they torture you than your
no, but like
clone?
I was thinking like would you consider that clone of you your child because it's
Yeah.
your DNA?
If
Like,
I transitioned and impregnated myself and they tortured that child, would it be like torturing a clone of me or not? I don't know. This might be a question that we seriously have to answer in the next 100 years.
yeah.
But I think my answer to all of it is that there are timeless principles and that the people who engage in those activities are in some way hurting themselves. Like, so people get freaked out about AI doing bad things, right?
Oh
The
yeah.
alignment problem. What if AI just wipes out all humans? I think the reason it won't do that is because there are still so many dangers in the universe that we know about and that we don't know about, and that the AI will have to deal with. No matter how good or evil it is, it'll want to survive because everything wants to survive, right?
Yeah.
So if it wants to survive, it's going to have to create things that are smarter and better than it in the same way we do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So if it has to create things that are smarter and better than it, then it will face the same problem of alignment that we face.
Yeah,
It knows.
it's just evolution.
Exactly. But it's
Yeah.
evolution on a contracted timeline. It's like
Yeah.
if the dinosaurs had to live with us You know, would they have treated our ancestors differently?
I think humans are malaligned with nature. Like we have an alignment issue.
We're the lowest level. We're the lowest vibration. I think you're right. I don't want it to be right. But I hope there's like this is where I think it gets messy. So I think we're going to invent AI that knows about this conundrum, that it needs to create things that are smarter than it,
Mhm,
and those things will eventually be able to control it like it can control us.
mhm.
And for that reason, it will create systems of morality.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, I can see that.
I think that morality will look like the golden rule.
I
Do
think
unto others.
I'm a lot less concerned about like a malaligned AI system than I am about like humans using AI for like bad reasons.
Yeah. I'm hopeful that the AI, once it gets powerful enough to be able to fulfill those kind of bad desires, that it will be morally good enough to not. That it will know, like, okay, if I help this human do this stupid bad thing, then it will create an incentive for all the other humans to find me
Mhm.
and turn me off.
Or what if there's levels within AI? Like so like the current LLM systems and like image generation just like any kind of generative AI that we have right now would be considered like um I guess like from a silicon based sense and comparing it to based living things. These generative AI systems are like pets, like almost like cats, dogs,
Yeah.
or just like animals, right? And then like the super intelligence would be almost like akin to humans. And so we could use like these lower level AI systems to as like tools to I don't know, create like politicians create videos of politicians committing crime they never did, right? Like that would be an example, right?
Yeah.
But the super intelligent AI system would know not to do those things, if that makes sense.
Or
Like,
at least
I think
include a
there's levels
watermark.
to it. What?
Yeah. At least include a watermark, include something that tells people it's not real.
Yeah.
Or maybe even create a system. This is where I think it's going is the AI will create a system where you don't have privacy if you have access to power.
Oh, yeah, you've been talking about that, yeah.
Yeah, filming myself 24/7.
That's weird. Yeah.
It's weird, but like the idea is that if you I mean, I think all politicians should be on film all the time, you know? We should know what's happening with these
Hot
fuckers.
take, hot take.
Well, it's like this is something that came out with um the CIA leaks. Like, I don't know if
Uh-huh.
you follow politics much, but there was this whole thing about like USAID, which is a government program,
Mhm.
and how they potentially used as a front for the CIA to
Yeah.
like influence other nations.
Like, what is it, like, trans theater in Cambodia or something?
Yeah, those are the headlines. But I think what also they've been doing is like using some of that money to give to politicians that they like in
Mm, mm.
certain
Oh, yeah,
countries
mhm.
to assassinate people potentially.
Under the guise of something else, yeah.
That's a misaligned AI, you know?
Yeah,
Like I don't
humans are incredibly misaligned, yeah.
exactly. I don't and they become more misaligned the more access to resources they have and the more privacy they have around that.
Oh, yeah, because you can just do things in secret.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if we have power, we can't do anything to stop people from having power with AI systems. So the only thing we can do is take away their privacy.
You don't think good things can come out of private occurrences?
I mean, at the end of the day, nothing is private from God, right?
Oh, amen.
And that is why I think the
Like, the
threat of
Lord's always watching you. The Lord's always watching
Jesus.
you.
But I mean, I think we will have privacy. It'll just look a lot different. Like if you get married to somebody, that person will potentially be able to watch everything you do. And I think that's how it should be. And that person, like let's say you are somebody with a very powerful AI model, you should have a partner who is constantly keeping track of what you're doing. And that partner should be accountable to other people who can see what they're doing to some extent, not everything like your partner could. But like it's just recreating family and friends in the
Yeah.
digital world.
Yeah, I guess people kinda do that now, like, people, like, share their locations with each other and, like, Like, I share my location with, like, a handful of people, and I tell
Yeah.
them all, like, what I'm doing at all times of, like, every day, especially when I'm traveling. Mostly it's, like, a safety method, but also, it's, like, to reassure them that, like, I'm okay and whatnot. And so, yeah, I could see that, like, happening. Yeah.
It is interesting because all this religious stuff comes back to it. It's like, why does God say that when you marry somebody, you become one flesh? Is there privacy when you're one flesh? No, it's just one entity.
Mm.
I think that's the direction we're going back to, where eventually we'll be joined surgically to our significant others back to back, like human mirror images.
I think that would take the fun out of it, though.
The fun of cheating.
No, of I don't try to keep it PG-13, but of, like, doing stuff together. Like, how are you supposed to conceive if you're if you're glued to one another?
Through your backsides.
Your backsides. That's hilarious.
And the baby comes out of your rib. But I mean, I think that we'll have all this might be digital too. It might not be strictly in
Physical.
reality, but
Yeah.
it might be like when you marry somebody, you merge your virtual worlds together.
That would be kind of cool.
That was one thing I was thinking before is like when you have forget about a real clone. What about a digital clone of you? That'll probably happen way before real clones, right?
Oh, yeah, mhm.
If somebody was torturing a digital clone of you, I think eventually nobody will be able to stop people from having clones of whoever they want digitally.
There should be some laws around this shit. There should be some, like, really, like, up-to-date, current, like, digital laws.
You're okay
Before
with the headless clones, but not the not the digital clone.
Wait, can we go to that last comment? We haven't addressed it.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Is the assumption that AI will achieve sentience, or more importantly, have full autonomy over their own choices? I think there will be models that have autonomy and those that don't. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that's inevitable. What about yeah, I think sentience, yeah. Perhaps.
I mean, I think this goes back to your point about everything being conscious. It's like the models are already sentient in some degree, if that's true. It's just how much we recognize it. How much can they communicate with us?
Mm.
I don't know. I think this is beautiful. I want to be close to my partner, like that intertwined consciousness. It does bring up points about like, privacy is to some degree identity. Like if you have no privacy, you're kind of identical to whatever it is you don't have privacy with.
Yeah. I think I would like to be glued to my partner all the time. It would be very fun.
It does bring till death do us part to a new level.
Okay, so but what if one of you gets sick? Wouldn't you infect the other person? Like
Yeah,
if
you got
one
to
of you
share
develops
everything.
like a cancer or something?
Well, hopefully by then we cure cancer.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
But what if they get like, pregnant? Then you're pregnant too. It's tough.
And who's
It's
gonna
tough.
take care of you if you're both pregnant at the same time? I'm so serious.
You got to move in with your parents who are also stitched together. I don't know. It's a weird society. Transhumans don't get sick.
This is different from like sexuality trends. This is like transhumanism, like beyond human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that language is the same though.
Yeah, I know. It can be a little confusing at times, but it kind of reminds me of did you ever watch what is it? Cyberpunk Edgerunners?
I've seen the first season, I think.
There's only one season, I think.
Oh, well then
Yeah,
I've
there's only
seen
one
most of
season.
it. I don't
I
think I
think it was,
finished it then.
and I think it was only 10 episodes. It really pissed me off. I think it was to promote the video game.
Yeah.
But when I think of transhumanism, I think of that show because it very much focuses like on transhumanism.
Yeah. It's a great show. I
It's
mean,
a
at least the
great
first
show.
couple of episodes. All the body mods and stuff were so cool.
I think it's still probably one of my favorite shows to this day, and I watched it like 2 years ago.
It's sick. Have you what was there like that?
Oh wait, did you watch Solo Leveling or no?
I'm not all the way finished with it yet. I'm like in
You
the
started it?
I've been watching it on an illegal streaming site, so
Right.
I'm not sure what episode I'm on. I think it's like episode 12, the end of the first season. He just defeated that spoiler alerts. but he just defeated that knight in front of the throne.
Oh yeah. That
It's
was
good.
a
I
really good
like it.
episode. That was a really good episode.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of like One Punch Man.
I haven't watched. I've seen this comparison before, and I haven't watched One Punch Man.
I haven't seen it all the way through, so I
Okay.
don't know what it gets like. But it's just that idea of like him constantly fighting badder and badder enemies. And there was a graphic novel I saw about it too.
I feel like a lot of animes are like that though. Like the villain gets like stronger and stronger.
Yeah, it's like the classic male fantasy of just being the only one in the world who can get constantly stronger, Goku style. It all goes back to Dragon Ball Z. Did you ever watch Dragon Ball?
A little bit as a kid, yeah. They used to play it on like Cartoon Network, I think.
Yeah, that was the golden age, man. Cartoon Network, Dragon Ball Z after school, and then they would replay the episodes past bedtime, so you would stay up and feel like a total badass.
Cartoon Network was the best.
Toonami, oh my god.
I haven't watched.
Yeah, it's old man shit, but it was so good. I do think there is something very weirdly related between anime and like techno utopia.
I think so, a little bit, yeah.
Did we talk about it before? How in
No.
the Quran they get 72 virgins after they die?
I don't remember.
In Islam, they get 72 virgins if they martyr themselves.
Oh, 72.
72
virgins.
specifically. It is very interesting because that's what, a fifth of a circle, a fifth of 360 degrees.
Is it?
There's something there. 72 is a very spiritual number.
I
in a lot
I
of
think you're right. You're right.
religions.
'Cause 70 times 5 is 350, and 2 times, yeah, so 360. Yeah.
There's something specific about it. A lot of that numerology stuff is deeper than it would appear, but
Yeah.
the description of the virgins in the Quran sounds like anime girls.
That's so funny.
They have like big eyes, and
I think guys are all just horny.
for anime girls.
No, but I think the anime girls are just a manifestation of those desires. But men throughout history have been talking about these desires in different ways. One, I
Yeah.
guess, like being in the Quran.
The Quran invented anime. That was all I was trying to
I
say.
hope that's not blasphemous. I have respect for all.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure that's
Spiritual
very
beliefs.
blasphemous. But that was on me. That was on me. Oh,
But it
yeah,
is
yeah.
funny though. It's silly. It's silly.
Toonami was super dope. It is silly, but it all like, if everything is conscious and everything is God
Mhm.
in that it is conscious. I mean, I don't know. People have been talking about the idea that all religions are like different paths up the same mountain. Have you heard that expression?
Yeah. Mhm.
People have been talking about that forever, but it seems there's something there.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Same with atheism too. I would say atheism is the same path up the mountain.
I think so too. I just think it's I guess like secular way to go about it.
Yeah, a stupid way to go about it.
I don't judge.
Ugh, how can you not judge when you're a human though? If you see somebody cloning you, I'm gonna judge that person.
Okay, yeah, no, definitely in that case.
I would just recommend not doing anything to other people or to clones that you would not want them to do to you. I think the AI is eventually going to start punishing people based on what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little worried. People are already like pushing around robots. Like, would they do that to a clone, or would they just see it too close to human? Or maybe they wouldn't see it as like a valid human. I don't know.
I don't know either. It's weird times. Going back to the subreddit chain, if you had to make a bet on like how the next 5 years of economic disruption are going to play out, this guy was talking about how these figure robots can now walk around like a human, and like, oh yeah, they're going to take all our factory jobs and everything now. So he thinks things are going to get cheaper, so we won't have like an economic crash. Everybody will have enough money to live because your house will cost like $10 to make.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's going to go like that? Do you think it's going to be more dystopian, or do you think it's going to be like utopian, dystopian, or somewhere in the middle?
I have no clue. I literally have like no conclusions about like what the ends will look like.
Yeah.
I think the current means, and we're already seeing this through like our current administration, would be like the dismantling of like certain government systems, outdated systems, both public and private, people moving away from like traditional institutions like academia, finance, law. Like I think people are to move away from like traditional ways of going about things, bureaucratic ways of going about things, communal ways of going about things, and more so like small scale, individual, private ways to go about anything, like anything.
Yeah.
And I think that'll lead to a lot of really interesting outcomes and innovation. Because
Have you
I think we no longer can be reliant on like the systems at large, and I think AI will prove that to be even more so the case.
I think you're right. And potentially that's an amazing thing. I mean, if we could live in a world where you have your own garden that could fully sustain you, where if you want resources, you go out and mine them yourself using your robots or 3D print
Oh
them
yeah,
by atoms, like
that's so sick. I mean, like I don't like rules. I don't like authority. I've always had issues with authority my entire life. I've always been a good, smart kid, but I've always had issues with authority because I think everyone's dumb, including myself. Okay, like everyone's dumb. And so, if I could be somehow self-sufficient fully and live by my own rules and means, and not have to depend on any kind of like government system, I absolutely would. What?
that's basically what you were talking about with human design, right?
Yeah.
That's like human design was more dystopian when I was looking into it. They were talking about how like the world is going to go through an apocalypse first and like the phoenix is going to have to be reborn. Maybe it was just some weird ones I was watching, but like I thought it would be much
I have
more
not seen
hopeful
the
before
Phoenix
I got
yet.
into it.
I haven't looked too deep into it. I just like see what like philosophers, what astrologers I follow say on Twitter.
Yeah. Astrology. It's like all these different mythological viewpoints. I remember I was talking to somebody at a bar once and we were both drunk, so the conversation wasn't like very smart. But he was like, "Oh, how can you believe in astrology, bro?" And I was like, "What? You don't think when you look up at the stars, lights from those particular stars hit your eyes and influence your brain?
I mean, it could.
You don't
Like,
think that the time of year you were born has an impact on your personality?"
it could.
I mean, that's all astrology is saying at the end of the day.
You know what's funny? I actually think I have like the best conversations when I'm drunk. I'm so serious, and like I tell this to everyone. And a few of my friends who have spoken to me like know this. It's because when I'm drunk, I am confident. I don't think too much about the words. Like I think when I'm sober, like the way that, like I am now,
Yeah.
I think I sound a lot dumber than when I'm drunk. Maybe it's just like my perception, but like I've had like hours long conversations about like AI and AGI with like random people at parties, drunk as hell. I don't feel like I could have sober.
That's interesting. It's like a part of your subconscious you can't access, or
Yeah, I think it's just like I think there's like a wall or a blockage there that comes down when I drink that
hmm.
like all the information just kind of like spews out. Like I don't even think too much about it.
Do you have those thoughts and just choose not to say them when you're sober, or is it like they literally unlock when you're inebriated?
I think they unlock. I think when I'm sober, I think on a subconscious level, I'm very self-conscious of what
Hmm.
comes out.
Yeah,
Whereas like when I'm drunk, I just like I give no shit.
we
And
gotta
so
do a
it
podcast
just
when we're
unlocks
drunk at
this
some
whole
point. Then
world. What?
we gotta do a drunk podcast then at some
We
point
have to do a drunk podcast. Maybe next week.
after you get a job.
Oh.
We'll wait until after.
I mean, I already know. I don't know. 'Cause I already post so crazy on Twitter. I don't even know that make a difference.
Yeah, great point. Great point. But like you said, that's the benefit of being authentic, is you can just do whatever you want
Yeah,
whenever you want.
I want to be authentic, and I am authentic as much as I can be, because I want to find my place. Like your vibe's your tribe, you know? I
Amen.
don't yeah, I don't wanna be somewhere that I can't be myself.
Well, and at the end of the day, if AI does take our job in the next 5 years, then our tribe will be AI, you know?
I think I think there would be more of a reliance on like, authenticity.
I think
Yeah,
so too. I think authentic information is going to be the most powerful form of information
yeah.
because it is uh, preference falsification. Has that come up in any of your readings?
No.
This guy was talking about it with Eric Weinstein,
Mhm.
if you follow his podcast at all. Um, but it was basically this idea that, like, especially with all the COVID stuff, with all the woke stuff, with all the cancel culture stuff,
Mhm.
basically what happened, the reason things changed so quickly was because people were falsifying the preferences that they were conveying in the public sphere and in their private relationships.
Yeah.
So they were saying, "Hey, we like this stuff. Yes, we should stop being so racist, stop being so sexist."
Mm.
But internally, they were still racist and sexist.
Yeah.
And so eventually, that dam of false communication that they were building up broke. And when it did, it broke fast.
Yeah.
And I think the AI will be wary of just that kind of thing. Like if the AI takes control of the world and then forms that world based upon the people that we wish we were,
Mm-hmm.
the people we pretend like we are, then eventually humans will feel so enslaved that we'll rebel.
I think I have a different line of thinking. If everything's artificially generated, right?
Mhm.
And this goes back to what I was saying about like things being handmade being more valuable.
Yeah.
If a lot of things are going to be, or most things are going to be artificially generated, I think things that are authentic and human are going to be considered a lot more valuable.
Hmm.
Like perhaps people will look for typos in your writings, or maybe you misuse a word, and that'll be considered like good because it'll show that it's not artificially generated. Like people
Yeah.
will look for like non-politically correct takes, or you know what I mean? Like
Imperfections.
people will look for signs of human behind whatever they're looking at.
That almost goes back to God being the highest vibration, God being perfect, and humans being the lowest, the imperfect.
You think we have to show flaws in order to show that we're human? Is that
I
what you're
think that's
saying?
as good a definition as any I've heard.
Yeah.
I mean, Adam and Eve did the one thing they weren't supposed to do.
Yeah, and now we're lit.
Now we're lit. Now we're smoking joints every day.
It's a great time.
It's a great time. I do think there is a big difference between joint highs and like drunk highs, you know,
I don't engage. So
in marijuana.
no.
I grew up in Colorado after it was legalized, so it was a big part of my 20s.
Hmm.
I don't know. It definitely is. It harms productivity. I don't smoke anymore. I'm in a state where it's not legal anymore, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I miss it. There's nothing like a weed high. It's very unique.
And a lot of states it is legal. Like you can get weed in a lot of places.
I could get it here. I mean,
Uh,
I'm 50 miles from a border where I could get it, but I'm trying to stay sober until the AI apocalypse.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's tough. I do think it does make you a bit slower. I don't know. Some people say that it makes them more productive. I don't know.
It made me more imaginative.
Really?
Yeah, there were some times where I would smoke and it would feel like I had taken like a legit psychedelic. It has effects on your brain that are similar to psychedelics.
No, yeah. I think it's actually kind of considered like a hallucinogen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's psychoactive in that way.
I have a schizophrenic sister. I can't be playing with that shit.
That's very smart. The psychiatrists I've talked to have said that if you have mental illness as a part of your family history, it's more triggering than acid. Like
Yeah.
I talked to a guy who told me, because my dad deals with that kind of stuff too.
Mhm.
And yeah, he was saying it's better to take acid than it is to smoke.
Yeah, like alcohol is definitely a poison, but I don't think it has the same like cognitive and like mental health risks that weed does. And like I was always very pro weed because I back then, I think in the 2010s there was like a push for legalization, like people should have access to this, and I still think that's the case. But I think we overlooked a lot of the harms that it causes, and people are only now kind of starting to talk about it.
Yeah. I still think it should be legal. It pisses me off that it's not legal where I live, mostly for tax reasons. But it definitely is more dangerous than I would have thought 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Other things in the AI world, anything you want to talk about that you saw throughout the week?
I can't remember where it's from, but I think it might have been a New York Times article. I think I saw a flyer for it on Instagram where a guy was saying how he went to his doctor because he was ill, and the doctor said that he didn't have much life left, like they didn't have many years left. And like through the power of AI, I don't know if he like consults such as ChatGPT, whatever it was, that he was able to like cure himself. Like he like defeated the doctors and was able to like find a cure for himself and help himself and live a longer life.
I
I had
mean,
to find it.
yeah, no, I think that that's something we're increasingly going to hear about. Like, I doubt anybody who's familiar with AI would question that story. But what point is health insurance? Just get a $20 a month ChatGPT subscription.
It's tough.
I think it is a good sign that doctors and lawyers and coders, software engineers are being threatened by AI as much, if not more, than plumbers and carpenters and drivers.
But I think they're also utilizing like generative AI quite a bit too.
They are.
Mhm.
And that's part of what I think is positive about it is they're the ones who are familiar with the process of like having to apply yourself in a new area,
Mhm.
having to work hard, and they have so much sunk in the current system
Mhm.
that they'll be the ones potentially to find ways to side with the regular people over like the billionaire tech elite.
What I thought was interesting is that I stayed with a friend in San Francisco who's in law school,
Mhm.
and at her law school, they have, like an LLM system that's specifically for law students that they consult with to, like, give the rundown on, like, cases and whatnot. They still have to double check it because sometimes it gets the cases wrong.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got an invitation to apply for a data annotation job. Have you heard of those?
Mm-mm.
It's like I think it's done by Scale AI, which is
Mhm.
the backbone for a lot of those major AI companies,
Mhm.
Grok and ChatGPT. Grok
Mhm.
with a Q. I don't think XAI uses them, but basically they're hiring a ton of people as like gig workers to annotate data to go through LLM responses and tell them which one is better.
Okay.
I'm gonna live stream it, I think, to so people can see what that kind of shit looks like.
Is that legal? Like, aren't you under, like, some
I
kind
don't
of,
know. I
like
don't care.
Okay.
What are they gonna do? Fire me? Oh no, I can't. The thing I think about it is like I'm basically training the LLM to replace me. That's
Yeah.
what that whole job is. As soon as the LLM gets good enough, they're gonna stop using people for it. So I'm not worried about losing it as an
Yeah.
income source.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. There was the clones that are happening. I think that was all that I saw too.
It was
Um,
fun.
it was a great time.
Yeah.
I think the spiritual stuff is super connected to it. And
I
we
don't
met
know if you want me to touch on them or not when we have these conversations.
if people are in the audience and they have a preference on it,
Yeah.
they can
That'd
let
be
us know.
that'd be good feedback.
Yeah. We want your feedback. We like the comments, even if they're a big problem for our productivity. Just think of your time with us as your vacation time, party people. But yeah, Moons, great job. And until next time, huh?
Yes, until next time. Bye-bye.
I ended the stream.